Hey y'all, I got to thinking. Yes, I got to thinking the other day, not just about who wins the most games or who's got the flashiest coach or even who's making the Final Four. Because the era we're in right now is just different. And you know that. It's totally different than, say, even 5 years ago. These players today, they're not just athletes anymore. They're brands. They're business people. They're entrepreneurs. They're their own CEOs. So I got to thinking, NIL didn't create that energy, no, but it poured gas on it. Don't get me wrong. Championships still matter. Team culture still matters. But in this NIL world, players are thinking way bigger than trophies. They're thinking about their future, on the court and off of it. And if your value is tied to exposure, then where you play and how many people actually see you play, well, that matters more than ever. Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl CC, and yeah, I'm back with another video. And yeah, I'm by myself again. But look, I wanted to dig into something today. I did. And I think y'all will be happy with what I'm digging into. It's not the rankings, it's not the hype, it's not tradition, but it's real exposure. Visibility, access, TV time, media markets. And I'm going to keep it real with you. The Big Ten is built different when it comes to all that. All right, before we get into who's got what, let's talk about something that most fans don't really hear about. DMAS. DMA stands for Designated Market Area. It's how TV networks divide the country based on who's watching. The smaller the number, the bigger the market. So, New York has a DMA of number 1, right? They're the largest media market in the United States. LA, yeah, we're number 2. Columbia, South Carolina, that number, 76. Uh-oh. Now look, I'm not saying every school has to be in a big city to matter, but if we're talking NIL, visibility, and brand building, then yeah, it kind of helps when you're not tucked away in a market the size of a group chat. Let's take a look at a few of the top programs and the media markets that they're sitting in. Here's a DMA rankings breakdown from worst to best. Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, they have a DMA of 98. Uh-oh. LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they have a DMA of 93. Uh-oh. South Carolina, DMA of 76. Uh-oh. Texas, DMA of 38. UConn, they have a DMA of 33. USC, Los Angeles, California, we got a DMA of number 2. So while everybody's talking about rankings and rivalries, we're over here talking TV signals and exposure pipelines, baby. But wait, that's just a few schools. Let's zoom out and talk about conferences. Because if you really want to understand who's set up for NIL success, you have to look into which conferences are actually living in those top media zones. How many schools in each conference are in the top 25 DMA? Right? So how many schools are in a top media market in each conference? First, the SEC. The SEC has 2 schools in the top 25 DMAs. Georgia ranked number 7 and Vanderbilt ranked number 23. Oh well. Okay, let's keep it moving. Now we're on to the Big 12. The Big 12, they're trying, but they're not quite there. They have 4 teams in the top 25 DMAs across the U.S. TCU, which is located in Fort Worth, Houston, which is, of course, in Houston, Arizona, and UCF, which is in Orlando. Now, the ACC, yeah, they're sneaky strong. And I would have never thought it would have been the ACC, right? SMU, it's in Dallas. Georgia Tech in the Atlanta market, that's a number 7 media market. Boston College, I didn't even know that Boston College's media market was a number 9 ranking. Stanford, of course, San Francisco and Cal, both in the number 10 ranked media market in the U.S. That's really good, right? And then you have Miami with a DMA of number 18. Then you add in the North Carolina schools, right? North Carolina State, and Duke all share the same media market in Raleigh-Durham. That's the 21 ranked media market in the United States. So that gives ACC a total of 9 schools. They are sneaky killing it. So that brings us to the Big Ten. Because you know what? The Big Ten is built for broadcast. Rutgers is in the number 1 media market in the U.S. New York. USC is in the number 2 media market out of Los Angeles. And yeah, you have that other school too. They're in the number 2 media market as well. You have Northwestern. They're in Chicago, the number 3 media market in the U.S. Maryland in College Park, but out of the Washington, D.C. media market, they're in the number 8 media market in the U.S. You have Washington out of Seattle. Seattle is the number 13th media market in the U.S. Michigan is out of Ann Arbor, but they're in the Detroit media market. Number 14th media market in the U.S. Minnesota out of Minneapolis is in the number 16th media market in the U.S. Then you have Indiana, Bloomington, but out of the Indianapolis media market. They're number 25. Oregon, 10 schools in the top 25 media markets across the USA. That's not by accident. That's strategy, and that's the Big Ten. So far, y'all, it looks like the Big Ten is the big conference built for NIL, right? I mean, that's what the stats say. That's what the facts say so far. And here's the other thing why that matters. Because even in the Big Ten, your away games hit huge audiences. If USC goes to Rutgers, that's in New York, the number 1 DMA. If USC goes to Northwestern, that's Chicago, the number 3 DMA. USC to Maryland, that's the number 8 DMA. USC to Washington, that's the number 13th DMA. USC to Indiana, that's the number 25 DMA. And it works the other way around too. When they come to Los Angeles, they get LA exposure. That's coast-to-coast visibility baked into the schedule, which is exactly what NIL brands want. That's coast-to-coast power. Now let's talk about who actually gets seen on TV. Big 12 games are kind of all over the place. You might catch a few on FS1 or ESPN or even ABC sometimes. But most of the time, you're searching for them on ESPN Plus. And if you don't have a subscription, you won't be able to watch. Does the Big 12 have an app? I don't know. Okay, yeah, I just looked it up, and Big 12, they have an app or dedicated hub called Big 12 Now, but that's through ESPN Plus. It's their official app-like platform. They have since launched Big 12 Studios, which is a free ad-supported streaming channel operated with Raycom Sports. It features game-related content, I'm reading off my phone, game-related content like highlights and interviews, though it's not a full game stream platform like Big Ten Plus or the SEC network. Wow. They do have a partnership with Peacock, right? So Big 12 men's basketball games, you'll be able to catch on Peacock. So that's new. But to me, that's not a media pipeline. That's a maze. And it's not helping players build brands. It's hiding them behind a paywall. Now, let's talk SEC and ACC. Yes, both have major partnerships with ESPN. You'll see top games on ESPN, ESPN2, and occasionally on ABC. But
wait a minute.
There's always a but. Right. If you're not South Carolina or LSU or maybe Tennessee, you're more likely to end up on the SEC network, ACC network, or stuck behind that ESPN Plus paywall. And to access those, again, you need a cable login, a streaming bundle, your cousin's password, your grandma's dog's Hulu account, whatever you can find. It's access, but it's not easy access. The Big Ten, they are by far the best media outlet. This conference isn't just sitting in great media markets. They've got games on Fox, CBS, NBC, FS1, Big Ten Network, Peacock, and Big Ten Plus. You don't have to go looking for Big Ten women's basketball. It finds you. Now, let me clarify something. I did say Big Ten Plus and Peacock. Those two you have to pay a subscription for. But where else are you going to find? They have the most regular TV media coverage. Fox, that's free TV. CBS, that's free TV. NBC, that's free TV. Who else has that? Right? Big Ten Network, you have it with cable. You don't have to go looking for Big Ten women's basketball. That's reach. That's consistency. That's what NIL brands love. You need some proof? You want some receipts? Well, here you go. USC versus UConn. Regular season. Not NCAA tournament. 2.23 million average viewers. Peaked at 3.8 million. One of the most watched regular season women's games of the year. Aired nationally. Not behind a paywall. You didn't have to have cable. You could just have regular antenna, antlers to pull it up, right? That's the power of being in the right conference and having your game shown in the right places. Okay, so now we talked about TV viewership. And by far, Big Ten is they're the big conference in that as well. I'm just stating facts. I'm just laying out the facts. Hello. Okay. I won't. That was the NCAA tournament committee chair. I was told, please don't mention how the SEC's path to the Elite Eight looked real convenient this year.
Bruh.
Okay, we won't talk about it, but I do want to talk about the depth of the NCAA tournament. We're not talking about who made the Final Four. We're talking about how many teams your conference had in the fight. Because more teams equals more quality games, equals more visibility, equals more NIL juice. You with me so far? All right. For the 2025 NCAA Women's Tournament teams by conference breakdown, here we go. For the Big 12, 7 teams made it. In the ACC, 8 teams made it. SEC had 10 teams. The Big 10 had 12 teams. That's more than half the teams in their conference. You hear what I'm saying? That's not just building talent or seeking talent to come into the conference. That's building infrastructure. That's player development. That's top to bottom competition. And you know what? Networks want that. Brands want that. Recruits, whether they know it or not, should want that. The Big Ten didn't just build a media empire. They built it with intention. They built it with schools that are backed by tradition, programs that know how to win, how to grow, and how to build legacy. But they didn't stop at tradition. They built it with strategy. They built it with schools that are located in top media markets from coast to coast, north to south. You've got teams in New York, LA, Chicago, DC, Seattle, Detroit, Minneapolis, and the list goes on. That's not luck. That's all by design. It just is. And that kind of footprint, it doesn't just help the conference. It helps the players. It helps the players because in this era where every athlete is also a brand, exposure equals opportunity. Visibility equals value. Where you play, who sees you, and how often you're on the screen, that matters. The Big Ten set this thing up in a way that's going to affect futures. It's going to shape NIL deals, endorsement potential, and professional readiness. It just is. It's not just about basketball anymore. And that's what we tend to forget. It's just not. The reality, it's about building something that lasts beyond the buzzer. In the Big Ten, they built it right. And here's why USC is uniquely positioned right now. Based in LA, the #2 media market in the country. in a conference with 10 other teams in top 25 DMA markets. Plays in front of national audiences on Fox, CBS, NBC, FS1, BTN, and Peacock. Competing in the most visible, most televised, most NIL-ready conference in women's basketball. Let's be real, there is another school in LA, but USC has the bigger brand, the deeper legacy, and the stronger athletic footprint. And in this NIL world, eyeballs equal opportunity. So if you're serious about your brand, if you care about being seen, and if you want to play elite basketball while building your platform, then the Big Ten Conference is the blueprint. And USC is sitting right in the center of it. Fight on.